I think you should take a...
Everybody, let them know we're here. That's how the world knows we're MegaWorldwide. You guys have to let them know. Share out the show right now on whatever stream or venue you are viewing the show through. And 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, hi. How are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Hi, right out of the gate. Hi, chat room. Nice to see all you folks in here this early. It's getting to the point where, we used to do a 666 super chat at one point because we reached that number. Oh my God. We now reach that number in the chat room before I even go live. And I can't tell you how heartening that is. It's amazing. I just want you to know it's never lost on me. Because I think a lot of you remember when I first started doing the live stream and, as shoestring as this is, and the only difference now is I have a shoestring with the little plastic ends on it instead of just frayed as well. Think of this, we're on a paracord budget. That'll work. Anyways, we used to go, come on, 100. And when we'd start breaking these kind of like glass ceilings, mini glass ceilings that were set up and stuff. And it's just so great to see that. Anyways, so I can't even ask for the 666 super chat in all fairness. At some point, we're going to have to get to like 6,660, but that doesn't seem to have the same ring. Either way, support the show. There's the Venmo, all the stuff I'm supposed to say, patreon.com/HalSparks, comedy show next week. And what else? Oh yeah. And, super chats and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, this is my my Isomith shirt. It's still your motherfucking set. Because I'm able to get back to the gym now because my shoulder is finally getting to the point where I can lift again. So there you go. Anyways, I agree. Fuck average. It's just saying. I mean, it might be an instruction as well as a pejorative. Depends on who you are and what your definition of average is. There's so much in there. Anyways, hi, hello, good morning. Nerd Halen on Sunday. That's right, Driva. Absolutely. This Sunday in Denver, City by the Bay. Denver HQ is the club. And then, of course, the night before is Sexy Liberal Denver. So hopefully some of the, the more active Sexy Liberal fans will make their way over to HQ and enjoy the evening with us as well. I gotta say that the Saturday night show was a lot of fun. I gotta say it was super duper fun, and it was interesting because vocally right now, that is the single most challenging thing I've ever done. Not just right now, even when we do the song right now, which we did then. Just the variety of song, of vocal tones that I have to do as far as the sound of each of these singers, it's a lot. And I have to say, when I finish a show, as it stands, singing Dave and Sammy and Gary, getting them all in one show. And it is at the end of the show, I'm like, if I can still speak, this is a win. And I have to say, so far so good. So here's to being professional. Yeah. Anyway, so that was that. It was a great time. super fun. And then yesterday, of course, happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. That I hope you had a wonderful time, or wonderful memories, or a wonderful, if you don't like your children, I hope they didn't call, I guess is what Trump would say. But I went to at the Excalibur Casino and Hotel here in Las Vegas. They have a tournament of kings. One of those like medieval night dinner theater shows where they do jousting. Let the joustings begins, and and sword fights and all that kind of stuff. And you eat. They have Cornish game hens, which is weird. I would figure giant turkey leg like they have it at Disneyland, right? That's what I was hoping for, but it was a Cornish game hen. Anyways, nobody wanted. I went with my mom and my son, and so nobody wanted there. So I ate 3 Cornish game hens. I kind of did feel like a king by the end of it, bloated and greasy. But it was a lot of fun, and my son picked it out as the perfect place to take me for Father's Day because he wanted to go. He's at that age. You know what I really think you'd really like for Father's Day? Playing video games with me and going to medieval times. And I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right. So yeah, it's that age where like I think you'd really love like a water park. And you know what? And I'm at that. I don't know that I'll ever leave it, but I'm at that point with my son where I'm like, whatever I'm doing, if I'm doing it with you, if we're going there together and we're enjoying it together, I don't care. Whatever, it'll be lovely. If you decide, I think we should just take scooters and go around the neighborhood. Okay. I think we really need to watch cartoons. Like, all right. Because I'll love it. Now, is it the most productive use of his time as a father? Absolutely not. And, and I've given him instructions. He's got to clean up his room while I'm doing my show this morning. But that said, I'm not counting on it being done because he's 13. But it was a lovely time. So anyways, happy belated Father's Day to all the other fathers out there and that kind of stuff. I'll tell my other side Father's Day story this afternoon. Yeah. And but it was lovely. It was lovely, and we were all yelling huzzah, and he was losing his mind, and we got him a sword. It was super fun. Yeah, I'm a slave driver. Clean up your room if you have time. It'd probably be best. Yeah, mainly so your grandmother doesn't trip on things. That's essentially that's the story. So anyways, okay. So I think the big story, if I may, and by the way, Tara's going to be joining us for the second hour, but I think obviously the big story, let's go straight to it, is Trump's mental collapse continues apace. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Miss Johnson if you're nasty.
I think you should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson, does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. And he said I was the healthiest president he feels in history. So I liked him.
He was there. He pointed at him. By the way, for those that are just joining us from other countries and stuff, it's Ronnie Jackson. His name is Ronnie Jackson. He talks about him all the time. He always says Ronnie Jackson. Like, he's told this story a bunch of times. And the fact that it happens during his rant about how he aced his cognitive test and he fucks up the name of the guy that allegedly gave it to him. I mean, glorious. And like the cringe. Well, here, I'll show you again. When he says, does everybody know Doc Ronnie Johnson or whatever? There's this moment where there's a few people applauding, but a bunch of people don't. Now, I don't know that there would be a huge round of applause for Ronnie Jackson anyways, but they at least fake cheer. There's a depth to this silence, ladies and gentlemen. It is. Listen to this. Hold on. I'll show you what I mean.
Cognitive test, and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson, Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the white.
Did you hear how the like the applause fades out and it goes to total silence, and then there's a couple of woos and people are like, I think they wooed at Ronnie before Johnson came out of his mouth, and they're like yeah, what the what did he just say?
White House doctor, and he said,
I would like to say, by the way, for the record, just to be clear, at no time has Joe Biden ever said, I have the best words, I know all the words, I have the best words, I'm the smartest fucker ever, I know better than everybody. Where is it? I know I have it here somewhere. There you go. Open this guy up. Let's just clarify. The standard Trump sets for himself.
I know words, I have the best words.
Okay, so, yeah, and something about his brain, right?
Very large brain.
Right, okay. And it's, by the way, same Rand, he talks about his relation to MIT, you know, which he brings up all the time because he had an uncle who was at MIT, you know, which is like, you know, whenever he says that, you know what it reminds me of? Is that scene in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray's character, Phil, has been taking piano lessons for years, but in the same day over and over again. So the piano teacher goes, very good, Mr. Connor. Are you sure this is your first lesson? And he goes, yeah, but my father was a piano mover. So it has about that kind of that weight when he's like, my uncle was very smart and at MIT. Okay, so this is the standard he sets for himself. Once you set that fucking standard up, yes, that uncle died in 1973 before he clearly could pass on any of his smarts in a non-osmosis method to Trump. That he set this standard. I have the best words. I got a large brain. I'm a stable genius. He uses genius for himself all the time. All right, all that shit. Okay. Biden has never done that. Biden never says, he has a lifelong stutter he's dealt with. Everybody knows it. Sometimes he has to, certain words when you have a stutter don't come out. So you have to back up kind of mentally and figure out another word that you have to be like a human thesaurus to deal with it. You have to find other words to get there, right? And it's something he's had his whole life. Trump is now getting that same problem, but it's not affecting him as a stutter. He's just saying the wrong word. That would be the Nikki Haley situation. That's where, of course, he said, this old chestnut.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Right, remember that?
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges.
Okay, so there's a difference between the word you want to say is difficult and won't come out, and you are substituting a word, and whether that's, like an affect you can have your whole life in the case of a stutter, or increasingly, I don't know, we'd call it just brain rot. Just because I wouldn't even call it, it's hard to even measure if it's natural dementia in his case because of the number of stimulants he snorts, the lack of sleep and the bad diet, and the fact that he doesn't exercise because he thinks every person is born with a finite number of heartbeats. I mean, that should be disqualifying for president from the beginning. This asshole actually thinks your heart starts with, 65,732,912 heartbeats, and every time it beats, it just counts down until you run out. He thinks that. He really does. He really believes that theory. Well, I mean, I don't even know it's a theory. That bizarre urban myth of it's somewhere between astrology, hippy-dippy nonsense, and some sort of like, the human being is a wind-up toy. It's fucking bananas is what it is. But he actually believes you die because you run out of heartbeats. That's why he doesn't exercise, because it speeds up your heart. But he snorts stimulants, allegedly, according to people around him on The Apprentice and other shows, which would also speed up your heartbeat. And just for the record, so does being around porn stars. I can attest to that personally. So, just saying. So for the record, like this Ronnie Johnson thing during the cognitive test thing is just fucking brutal.
Dr. Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor, and he said, I was the healthiest.
He does it twice. Like he doesn't correct himself. He doesn't go Ronnie Johnson, Ronnie Jackson, whatever. Because I was just talking to Speaker Johnson, so I got Johnson on the brain. That sounds weird.
President he feels in history, so I liked him very much immediately. In fact, he said, if I didn't eat junk food, I would live to 200. That's what he said. I think he should.
Yeah. Also, by the way, if you need more evidence that Ronnie Jackson is a fucking quack, it's the fact that he said that about Trump at all. If you'll recall, also last week we did a couple of clips that Pat Gray specifically was the one that mainly covered it, but like Glenn, I think Glenn Beck covered it as well. The Blaze was on this that Biden said AFT instead of ATF, and they made a point of like, oh God, look at this old fucker. By the way, and Rob Glenn, who sometimes we do Friday Eyes, which you should tune in for if you want to know what the future is going to be like and how you can survive, but no pressure. Friday mornings, we deal with the advances in AI. Just like I jumped on Ukraine early and everybody thought I was, out over my skis. And 2 years on, I'm the only live streamer with his own correspondent in Ukraine. You're welcome. Who's got his own spinoff podcast On the Edge, which you should check out, Philip Hittner. Anyways, yeah, Randy Jackson on the brain. The Jackson 5, every one of them have had a finger up my ass, right? But Biden said AFT instead of ATF. Rob will sometimes say Chat GTP because it flows better. GTP flows better than GPT. It just does. And so, like, he'll just do that. Who cares? We all know what we're talking about. And everybody reverses, letters occasionally like that when you're kind of talking, especially when you're in a hurry and you're really discussing a broader topic and that, but nobody's going to like, oh, he said GTP. Obviously, this is the wrong website, right? Nobody's going to get that kind of confused. Same with the ATF or AFT. Doesn't matter. And I'm sure Biden was just talking to the American Federation of Teachers, recently, right? Which is what the AFT is. He literally, like Moms Demand Action had people from the AFT there because of like school safety and that kind of stuff. All right. So he reverses those two letters and everybody's like, oh God, Mr. Old Man. He's Mr. Old Man. Trump literally points at Ronnie Jackson, just like literally goes, does everybody know Ronnie Johnson? Points right at him. And they'll all shrug it off. They're none of them like we're not going to see Glenn Beck, except to say that, maybe the only person that will cover it maybe is Jesse Waters, like literally shrugging it off, making the point that like, oh, we're supposed to worry about they'll. And if you've noticed, by the way, I gotta find a clip of him, but lately Jesse Waters has been trying to run defense for Trump and. The stack of things he's like, they keep saying stuff about him like he used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein and he can't he said oranges and he can't pronounce United States and whatever, and he goes through all these things that he perceives the left-wing media as attacking Trump on, but the list is getting too long and too real. So a lot of the stuff he's just like, they say stuff about, I don't know, what he said about the topic, but he won't actually mention the thing because there's too fucking many of them. There's too many. Like the list, and Trump keeps adding to the list. You know what I mean? Like Biden tripped going up the stairs because he had a shortened tendon on one leg because when he broke his foot, and it obviously didn't heal right. But he's not going to go fucking have a sports operation, the kind they would give to like football players and tennis players and stuff. He's not going to go have that at his age. He's more than likely, the belief is he's more than likely putting off back surgery until after the election because they don't want him down for, a month, running the presidency from while his back heals. Or making a big deal of it. That's why his back's so stiff right now. That and he fucking rides a Peloton and a bicycle all the goddamn time. And it's just it's a recipe for locking your back up if you have an issue like that. Anyways, they're definitely, they'll play that loop though of what Biden falling up the stairs on, a lot. And there's not another one. There, like if it was a consistent thing, like he just can't walk stairs is the idea. No, he fell once going upstairs. He caught himself 3 times and continued up the stairs. He didn't just tumble back down like fucking Gerald Ford. And they still like rotate it, right? They still play it on a fucking loop. It's hard to get new material on Biden, right? Even the stuff with the paratroopers, who are landing. He's literally saying, he's literally the only member of the G7 leadership. Well, we'll show you. Hold on. Let me show you this real quick. So, Biden paratroopers, something like that. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So they did. Here, I'll show you. They even think this is a thing. So this is, here you go. This is the RNC research. What is Biden doing? Second angle ended to Biden viral clip shows his reaction to parachuters at the G7. Now, the weird part is they added this second piece right here. Shit, stop, don't scroll up there. I don't need that. I guess I got to shrink it down some or whatever. Anyways, this second shot, here it is. Now, do you see all these guys over here? This guy's the last one coming in. He's got a flag attached to his ass. But the rest of these guys look at them all packing their shit up. And Biden is clearly, while the rest of them, they all watched it, but Biden's like saying great job to these guys. He says that. He said, so they all applaud that guy, and then he goes over to the other 3. He's like pointing at those guys, and he's going, hey, see that guy right there? Like he's approaching them, and he's like, hey, what's good? Like he yells out to them, great job. See that? He gives them a thumbs up. They even stand still like they're fucking taking a picture. You can see exactly what he's doing. What you can't see, and what you don't notice, I think a lot of people don't notice, is the rest of the G7 leaders not giving a shit about any of the other guys that did the parachute drop, except the guy with the flag on his ass. That's the amazing part. Well, and again, I know I'm not preaching to the choir, Julianne, because we have a lot of trolls that come in here right now, and they don't get to escape it. And the other thing is that this is less even about what actually happened, and more that the RNC research Twitter feed thinks this is a fucking thing. Right? So, but Biden is clearly addressing these guys. They address him back. But the other part is that the other world leaders are like, they landed. Let's take the picture, listen to the team leader talk, and then we'll fuck off. They're already moving on. And he is like essentially congratulating not just the leader of the team, but everybody else. It's actually really fucking nice. Right? And you gotta, like, Trump, he was just like shoving these assholes out of the way when he would show up at these things. Again, and they're like, what is he doing? And he's like, he walks over there. There's a clear, see him giving thumbs up to those guys. There they are. Here's the thing. There they are. He's going like this. Like, great job. And look at the other world leaders. They're all just looking at the one guy who landed in the other video, this one right here, who we see later, who ends up saying something to them because it's prearranged or whatever, that they're going to do. They'll land. He'll say, welcome to the G7 and show us his penis and then run away. I don't know what the arranged gag was, but so what? And the important thing was, I actually think this is a plus. There he is. Here he's giving a thumbs up to these guys. And then there's another one where he's giving a thumbs up to the other. Yeah, you can see another angle. See this thumbs? There's the thumbs. There's the guy. There's the guy. Like, this is more about, like, is there a dementia problem at the RNC research Twitter feed? Because it's fucking odd. Right? they're all watching these guys come in. They do these drops, and then I think it's even a bigger story that the other world leaders didn't give a shit about the rest of the team. Like, why didn't Macron or any of those people go, great job, like that, at the other paratroopers? And maybe they did, earlier. Maybe they don't care. Maybe that guy was, maybe the lead guy was French, so Macron was deadlocked on him, and everybody else was lemming in behind. Right? Yeah, it's just so fucking weak. Meanwhile, you've got Trump, who is literally screwing up the name of the doctor that he says gave him the cognitive test, who he, by the way, he didn't. Ronnie Jackson didn't administer, insofar as I know, and insofar as what we heard from Walter Reed at the time, did not administer the test. He was the one, he just asked him if he should do it, and Ronnie Jackson said, if you want to, but you got to go to Walter Reed and you do this thing, and which is also bullshit, because I don't think you need to go to Walter Reed to take kind of one of the generic ones any more than they would do a fucking concussion test on you looking in your eye, right? Music is asking, how do you send me an email? bookhal@icloud.com is the email address if you want to reach out to me. Or if you want me to, I do weddings. I'm ordained. And thanks for the super chat. Erica Cub says, thank you, President Biden, a big thumbs up. Yeah. I mean, like he's literally being lovely. Jesus Christ. Okay, and then this one was, thanks, Al, and your team. Your show helps my drive from Cleveland to Detroit go by a bit quicker. Well, it's a serious drive. One I have made several times in my life as a budding stand-up. Yeah, when I first started out, that was on my Cleveland and Detroit were on my route. Oh, DJT shares are crashing again. No surprise. I mean, here's the thing. If anybody has DJT stock and they haven't taken it out and put it in NVIDIA, it's somebody just feeding Trump money from a foreign source. Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, another Ronnie Jackson related moment. If you'll recall, he's the guy who was running a fucking pill mill out of the White House. But a lot of Provigil there, a lot of fentanyl lollipops, right? Hydrocortisone. There's a lot. I mean, they were burning through the Provigil there. And my guess is, in looking into it, because I was like, the specific dosages that they put on, like Tylenol 3 and whatever, this fentanyl 50 micrograms, that kind of stuff, 4 of them, whatever, they issued them directly to somebody. Morphine, and now they're who they handed them out to and all that kind of stuff. It's a secret. Yeah, no weed, no gummies in that regard. But a lot, they're going through a lot. Look at this, Provigil, 100 milligram, 1,000. Now, what's her name? Amber Heard was allegedly on Provigil, and her assistant said that when she was on Provigil, it turned her into a super bitch, right? That was, I think, the quote. That she would get gacked up on Provigil and basically, I guess flood the dose, as it were. And the dosage they talked about with her was, and this might be just bad writing, might say 150, but mostly it says 100 everywhere else. There's 100 clearly. Is that instead of taking 150, they were taking 2 100s. So everybody was gacking up on it over the I guess the standard dose. Right, okay, so Provigil is and was originally I think the I don't know if it's the generic name is modafinil, but it's an anti-narcolepsy drug that people used to take, or I guess suppose if they have narcolepsy, still do, and it helps with midday drowsiness. They also give it out for sleep shift disorder. It's not a stimulant, Hoot Johnson, per se, although it does have stimulating effects. But what it does is it's not directly speed. It's different than that. Otherwise, they would just be taking amphetamines. But and they probably were at the same time. Like, again, that's what the Sudafed is for. That's the crushed Sudafed. It's got meth in it, essentially. That acts as the speed component. But what it is it tricks your body out of triggering its nap reflex in the midday if you have that. And if you work, yes, it is classified as a stimulant because of its stimulating effects, but it doesn't work the same way as just amphetamines does, is my point. But the point, from what I understand, but the point is, yeah, it's for chronic profound fatigue. It's also, yes, and it's also for sleep shift disorder, which is where if you're traveling overseas, let's say you're staff for the president or something like that, and you're flying overseas and you're like one night you're working late, next morning you got to get up super early. You have a flight to, like Biden's been to Europe 3 times in the last 2.5 weeks or some shit. And so your body clock is off. They use it medically to reset your body clock. And I'm speaking in broad terms, just in terms of like how they talk about it in the Amber Heard thing, but also how they might use it in the White House legitimately. But never in these fucking numbers. We're talking about where they're just on it all the time. That was the thing. That's why the numbers were so shocking. Yeah. And by the way, as far as pep pills and other stuff that they might be taking along with it, or caffeine pills and that kind of stuff, none of that has to be in the pharmacy. You can buy caffeine pills, right? You can buy, whatever, slow release caffeine and that kind of stuff. Like all the, back in the day when I had a buddy who used to just slam Jolt Cola all the time. And then his way of getting off of it was he finally discovered no-dose, right? So, and then we were all like, the constant joke was that he was just, that his heart was just going to like crawl up through his neck and beat his brain to death, right? Because he was slamming no-dose and drinking Jolt and all that kind of shit, right? Yes, exactly. You could buy caffeine pills on Amazon, so that kind of stuff isn't hard to come by. But you combine it with this kind of stuff, and then you jack the dose by taking double what would be the prescription use of it. That's how you get these kind of numbers. And by the way, mixed with Ambien. So people are fucking chemical yo-yos, right? They're taking Ambien to go to sleep and Provigil to get up in the morning. That's the fucked up part. Like, I'm sure there are, like, again, sleep shift disorder is real, no doubt. People who, move night shift to day shift have it all the time. I think that's why Amber Heard ultimately started using it, according to that, because we all watched that shit. Her assistant's testimony was about that. But the idea is that you shoot nights one night and then you shoot mornings the next day and you can't, blah, 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 blah. Is that why, Elvis died, I think, because of coronary artery disease and cocaine and God knows whatever fucking else he was being injected with, right? Yeah. Provigil is also used for ADHD. It is? I mean, I wouldn't doubt that they're using off-label usage of all that shit. Especially Ronnie Jackson, right? Yeah. But anyways, the point being is that Ronnie Jackson ran a pill mill out of the White House, and Trump says he gave him a cognitive test, which he did not. He got it at Walter Reed with other doctors, and he got his name wrong in the description of it. Is my point overall. All diversions aside. Now, there's a bunch of stuff we're going to be talking about with our dear friend Philip Bittner coming up this week, not the least of which is that the F-16s have finally arrived in Ukraine. And basically, this is the idea is that this is the end of the Kerch Bridge is going to be the big story in that chat room. By the way, hi chat room. Hello. How you doing? How's everybody doing? Where you from? What do you do for a living? Hi, thank you very much. I've been trying Provigil as a suppository. Thank you very much. It tickles. Anyways, yes. What's San Antonio delivery driver? Is that a euphemism? Blow it up on the 4th of July, that'd be kind of gorgeous. Although it would obviously trigger a bunch of these assholes thinking, I knew it, we're all part of whatever. Let's see. In my never-ending hunt for ways to call bullshit on Maria Bartiromo's. Oh no, it was Market Watch, wasn't it? Shit. Let's see two things in there. So remember how I was talking about how in 2025 there's going to be an oil glut? Yeah, remember that? Remember we were talking about that? Oh, thank you for the super chat. It'll pop up in my feed. Sorry, it blazed by right there. Hold on, I got to scroll back. I need to find a way to there it is. There. 8 years clean and sober last week. JD, congratulations. Right on. Good for you. Fantastic. It's awesome. I'd say welcome to my world, but you've been in it for 8 years. As somebody who has never done any of those kind of things, I got to tell you, it's a good time. It's all right. Yeah, we're all right. Yeah, so you can have no one can ever accuse me of not being able to go out socially and have a good time. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny. I'm just here to tell you, without any judgment, folks, that it's not difficult. Your fellow humans are lovely and engaging and worth paying attention to. So, let's see. Now, where was it? Okay, yeah. So there was this. There's a couple of things. Yeah. So 3 things for the China's eating our lunch crowd. So oil prices are projected to go down next year specifically. Let's see if I can put this in here. I hate the way this scrolls up and then doesn't show there's like a weird ad block on the front of it or whatever. It just looks ugly. I'm sorry. But here you go. Oil prices hold ground after slowdown in China crude demand. Now, why would there be a slowdown in Chinese crude demand when their economy is set to grow 5% this year? I know what you're thinking. How? Because they're not. Right. Okay. Because it's not going to. West Texas Intermediate crude for July rose 20 cents to $78.25 a barrel. And by the way, they're topping out at the Saudis were hunting for were $100 a barrel, and they've given up on that. So apparently they are hunting for consistent 80. That's what they're trying to manipulate the market for. And it's still not working. Russia right now has to sell their oil at $60 a barrel to break even. They are only selling it at about 52 max, and they're selling less of it. Not only are they selling their oil cheaper than the break-even price, but they're selling less of it. Now, someone out there, I'm sure in maggot world, can explain to me how that means they're beating sanctions and they're winning. I'm sure someone will have a story. Erica, thank you so much again for the super chat. And then JD Christie, bless you. And then I wanted to say somebody, membership. Stephanie just became a member or extended their membership. And where was it? And Savage One, thank you so much. 17 months. That's amazing. Steph's just 1 month ahead of you. Anyways, and by the way, if you're on Twitch right now, subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. Come on. So, okay, August Brent crude up 21 to 82.83. That's what gets sold out of the United States largely. That's, the better stuff, easier to deal with, doesn't ruin your equipment to process it. When, remember Trump's talking about the tar that comes from Venezuela? Okay, there's one plant in Texas that can do it there. Well, first of all, I guess that plant in Texas would be out of business if that shit didn't exist. So I don't know why he's wishing to put them out of business. The other thing is the reason everybody wants the what they call sweet crude and all that kind of stuff. They have these weird words for it. Is because it's easy. Brent Crude is a nice guy. He's lovely, and he's not as rude as you would think. He doesn't tell dirty jokes anymore. He doesn't live up to the name at the dinner table. Anyways, July natural gas held at one. Okay. Anyways, so those kind of things are fairly hilarious. Now, the second one. China and Philippines trade blame over ship collision in South China Seas. So this is, everybody's like, oh my God, war escalation. In case you hear rumblings about this, I just want to hit this off at the pass. So China's trying to claim areas of the South China Sea from the Philippines, and they have this like crashed ship that the Philippines view as a reef now because it's sitting there and it's above water, and so they put soldiers on it and they maintain it as a base essentially, sitting on a sand like hill underwater, and the Chinese are trying to steal it basically, and so they do all this shit to like blockade it so you can't bring in support for the soldiers that are there, so they have to leave and then they can clean. It's fucked up. Anyways, it's not gonna work. But what happened is like these ships bringing in supplies are going around it. China's been running into them, hoping that they can file insurance claims to shut down the thing because the military blockade of it doesn't work on the regular. Anyways, World War IV. So here's the other part that I thought was very funny. I spent a week on the Chinese version of E-Trade. Here's what I found. I spent, this guy, he talks to this secondary guy. He goes, in such a bearish market, you got to look for the tiniest glimmers. Okay, I don't know anybody who has okay. I don't know anybody who has a positive net return over the last few years. Now, chat room, do you know anybody who's been on Robinhood or any of these things? I certainly do. Who has had a positive net return in the stock market on the U.S. side of things? If you're in a union, you can just say yes. Right? Yeah. You know somebody, that has had a positive return on the U.S. stock market. This guy doesn't know anybody who's made money on Chinese stocks. Right. He trades solely on China's East Money on investing website, an app, and an online broker that surpasses U.S. platform E-Trade financial and market capitalization. The bull rush to get into this thing was enormous, and even with the downturn, even with their crash, he's not making anything. We call East Money dumb money, said broker Kane Hu, chief analyst at Peak Investment, a boutique stock brokerage in the western metropolis of Chengdu. East Money and other trading platforms mentioned this report did not respond to multiple Market Watch requests for comment. Mom and pop investors are the backbone of trading in China's domestic A-shares market, so the miserable performance of the last 2 years is probably pushing trading volumes to very low levels. Way to not only denigrate those investors in terms of, he's like patting them on the back for being important, but going, we're building houses on the backs of these suckers. We need a badge for 3 years plus. I agree. Thanks for gifting the memberships. Thanks so much. By the way, if you can't afford to support the show via Patreon or Venmo or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to just share the show out. Let them know you're watching it or hit that like. It still works on YouTube. It doesn't matter. Oh, this is good. And by the way, did you see Trump gave Alex Jones a Cybertruck after saying Chinese that all electric cars will be made in China and they don't go far? Honestly. Yep. Here's also when everybody's like, the polls. 21% of independents less likely to back Trump. After his conviction, the survey found that 21% of independents said they were less likely to vote for Trump after the conviction. These are people who previously had or were open to the idea. Yeah. Bye. Either way, I mean, there's a lot of poll jacking going on, so I wouldn't be too concerned about polls at all right now, either way. But they are trending in the right direction, and that's not a bad thing. But overall, they're relatively meaningless to the circumstance we find ourselves in. By the way, this is Hal Sparks Mornings, MegaWorldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, share it out. And to all of our trolls, the maggots that join us on the fairly regular, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Chat room, give a big a round of applause to the maggots in the chat room who come in here. First of all, it's one of the few chat rooms they can go to where people don't get triggered. We just kind of laugh it off. And so I don't know if that helps them or hurts them, but either way, it's got to take some of the pressure off of trying to trigger that, right? And then, and of course, trolling hasn't been what it was since 2016 anyways. It's when it kind of died. It's very 2017 to think it'll have an impact, but at least they do. Thank you, maggots. You do have a benefit to the show. You share us out in your... This person who watched this also watched this feed to all the people who watch, I don't know, Glenn Beck and Daily Wire shit or Crowder or any of that other shit. I show up right next to them because of the algorithm, because of you triggering the algorithm. Thank you. And when you write things, it's even better. Now, I don't encourage you guys to write too much because I guess 3 sentences in, you guys start using racial epithets and anti-gay slurs and that kind of stuff, and that'll get blocked. Just don't do that. If you can use your big boy words or your big girl words, and try to keep your horrible, bigoted, pro-monarchy, pro-theocracy, pro-authoritarian, anti-democracy, anti-American stuff within the realm of good taste. In terms of, use some of those best words Trump allegedly has but isn't using. Because and don't. I mean, I don't want to disappoint you. We're all very upset by the things you say and worried. I know I laugh it off, but I inside I'm shaking. So. No, I don't. It's very upsetting. And the more they write and click, the more this is bad for us. Chat room, is it working? Is it working? Are the maggots, are they buying it? Right. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So... So let's, and then, shall we, hold on, let me clear this out of the way, and then I want to jump in here, and we'll look at the trends before Tara comes on, because we haven't had a chance to look at the trends over the last little bit, because they're a bit ridiculous. Let's see, trending, that's a noise, let's go to the news trends, there we go. There you go. Is this for me? What is this? Okay. There's so many different trends on it. Yeah. Here we go. This is the current trends. One being Google Gemini is buying ad space on that's their AI. For those of you that aren't smart enough to watch Friday AI with us or too scared of it, don't be. So Google Gemini is buying ads on. That's how bad it is. You have to understand. Elon Musk, I think what was that guy? What do they call him? Sissy SpaceX, because he got triggered too easily. He has 2 AI companies. First of all, he's got Grok, the AI that's on here, which is ass. But he also has XAI, which is why he wanted there to be a pause in AI research and funding and all that kind of stuff, and everybody to just stop for a minute because it was dangerous, right? And oh my God, AI is going to get out ahead of us and we'll never get it back. And the reason he did that was because he was way behind in his development, so he wanted everybody else to pause so he could catch up. right? So, anyways, he's got two companies, well, like one subsidiary of XAI that effectively has two forms of AI he's pushing. One generic LLM based thing for industry and doing all kinds of other stuff. Like think of it as the deep learning side. That's XAI, and then the his own chat GOP, which is what Grok is, and he's still got to sell ads to competing AI companies because the only company that's making less money than Twitter right now is Truth Sinkhole. So, all right. Senate committee votes for a women's draft inclusion, right? That's the expansion of the draft to include 26-year-olds or whatever. This is okay. By the way, this part of this is like regular update stuff, but the reason that the GOP wants this brought up specifically and why they're going to make noise about it, and this is where you saw like Kevin Sorbet saying that my children are not going to die in a foreign war, that kind of stuff. Okay, we wouldn't use the draft for any foreign excursion. Like we wouldn't have a draft for for our involvement in Ukraine or Israel or any of these other things. If we had a draft, it was because we were directly attacked. The chances of it are slimmer and slimmer. But anyways, and this is just making it even finally, whatever. But that's why they're going to push it. Like, so they're coming for your kids. They're going to force them to fight Ukraine. That's the storyline they're going to try to push for like the next 3 weeks before Trump steps on his dick again and ruins the talking point. Yeah. 6 that is first. Okay, I don't care. Oh, World Series of Poker. Poker's not a sport. It's a game, not a sport. Just saying. I feel the same way about golf though, and that requires walking. I think poker players should have to walk between hands. And the cards should weigh like 8 pounds apiece. So like deal. Hit tank, hit tank, hit tank. Tank, tank, tank. Hit me. Tank. Ah, motherfucker. You don't throw it so far. Yeah. Yeah, I don't care. And I don't why this is the trending for me. I don't ever watch poker. That's how good the AI and the algorithm is on there. This is just here's the ads we think you'll probably complain about how golf is absolutely a skill-based sport. Boston Brian, simmer down. Is a skill-based sport? Yes. Skill-based. You have to have certain motor skills to do it. I don't know that qualifies. That's like making jogging a sport. You're running. Oh, hey. Speed up. You're walking now. How do we determine what the pace is? Is it the International Olympic jogging team it sets the standard every year for how many steps qualify as jogging but not running, or as jogging but faster than walking. I'm walking here. No, bowling actually is, I would say, because the ball's heavy and requires some direction. Pool, meh. Pool's a game, not a sport. I think that's the distinction, right? I think a sport should involve some level of physical exhaustion, right? That should be it. Competitive sitting, right? Hey, that guy's leaning back. He's sleeping. Oh, you have to sit up straight. He's going to win. He's stuck the posture. This is JD Vance. What is this? I'm sick of this administration. I'm 23 years old. I'm ready to buy a house, start putting my roots down, but I have to stick to renting because the housing market is ridiculous. Vote for the convicted felon. This shit getting old. Okay, first of all, what did Trump do to add to the volume of real estate available that would lower the price of actual housing? Secondly, the interest rates were low because he was trying to like zero out debt. At one point, he was looking for a negative interest rate so he could get rid of the debt he had laid on because the government literally, like the Fed would have to pay you to borrow money. It's fucking ridiculous. Secondly, the amount of direct foreign investment that has come into the United States since the rate went back up above 5% is humongous. The amount of money flowing into the United States and sitting in U.S. coffers, specifically gaining interest, but also like being used to build factories and all kinds of other shit. The reason it's coming in is because you can get a return on your investment. At 0%, you can't get anyone. Remember the whole talk about like, we can't even get anybody to buy our debt. Remember, that was one of the talking points of the Republicans before they, of course, passed their like unfunded tax break, right? Nobody will even buy our debt. That's because you can't make money on it. If your whole purpose of giving a loan is to make money off the interest, and it's a zero or negative interest loan, why the fuck would you? Now that there's an actual, a guaranteed 3% under the federal 7 and 5 or whatever, even if it comes down, there's a bunch of money coming in because everywhere else that you put it in their banks, the money just fucking evaporates. So stupid. Not having 20 million illegal aliens who need to be housed, often at public expense. Also, by the way, these folks are not. Isn't Trump saying that they're in hotels that aren't being used? By the way. Where are they? You think these 20 million illegals aren't paying rent or aren't paying a mortgage on a house, or the house itself isn't having its mortgage paid for? Whatever will absolutely make housing more affordable for American citizens. No, it won't. Also, there aren't that many. By the way, there are not 20 million illegal aliens in the country. And don't get on me for using the phrase illegal alien. I'm directly relating to these assholes right now. Let me be abundantly clear. The reason Republicans do not want undocumented immigrants, hashtag illegal aliens, counted in the census is not because, oh my God, this district will get more representation than they deserve, because most of the areas where they have the biggest like confluence of undocumented people are in places like Texas and Arizona that are very red districts. They would get 2 districts out of it, and they wouldn't get to vote. So the people that would be voting about it, that would be these new Congress people, would be mad about immigration and right wing, for the record. Secondly, and I see Tara's in the background. We'll bring her on in just a moment. Hi. But so the right wing will get more, if you count them, will get more in their districts. It's not going to benefit blue areas. Secondly, or thirdly, I guess at this point, depending on how you break down the points, the reason they don't want them counted is because there's nowhere near that number. Nowhere near that number of undocumented immigrants in the country. Even if you count all the visa overstaying Canadians and anybody who came over here, started a business, is in midway between their student and work visa, and they've stuck around because their lawyer says that, they might get kicked out, but if you hang out, we can file something, which is technically an undocumented immigrant at that point. Even including all those, we don't have anywhere near that number, or we wouldn't have, especially ones that are allowed to work and all that kind of stuff the way these assholes say, or we wouldn't have 1 million unfilled jobs. You dickheads. Other than that, I have no opinion. By the way, and also Title 42 is directly responsible for why we had a burst in people crossing but not entering the country. Every one person that crossed was processed 5 times, and they counted as 5 people. That's MAGA math. Okay, let me jump in here real quick, and I've got to switch one thing over, and I can't do it in the background because of a myriad of technical issues. And boink, here we go. And we'll grab her link, and we'll put this here. And then I think she can hear me too. Can you hear me, Tara?
I can hear you, but I can't. I can hear you, but I don't see you yet.
Okay, you're about to see both of us in a couple of seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Bink. Ta-da. Hi. Hey. There she is. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin rocks, author of The Sound of Settling. Yes, good.
Conveniently located right
yes.
there.
Well done. You finally got the...
It's on the counter.
Yes, you finally got the MSNBC book placement gene therapy.
Because I don't want to face my whole bookshelf and distract everybody like that. But I'm good. I'm good with this. Are we good with this?
Oh, I'm not a bit, from a feng shui standpoint, I am not a big fan of the bookcases behind you idea. Although I love bookcases, it just cuts the chi. It's just terrible. You know, you got those vertical lines, or the horizontal lines, and the vertical lines of the books. It's just too choppy, especially when it's like dozens of unsold copies of your own book. In the case of like Mark Levin or one of these people,
right? When it's like they have like all of their hardbacks and then all of the paperbacks on the other side, like bookends.
Right, like they're sitting in the warehouse.
Oh, the RNC didn't buy those, did they, Mark?
Right.
The RNC didn't buy those up for
no.
and falsely inflate them?
Tara, they bought them. They just didn't pick them up because now they're not even bothering to hand them out. Like, yeah, we bought them. Give us credit. You can, use them as fire starter. Yeah.
Just checking out my book.
That's right. So, hi, how are you? First of all,
how is everybody?
They're fantastic.
Are you?
I'm good.
Has anyone taken a cognitive test and then pointed to their doctor in the audience and called them by the wrong name while talking about a cognitive test? Raise your hand.
Right. Yes.
If that's ever happened to you.
That's your foot. Put your foot down. Put your foot down, everybody.
Another one.
Right.
Can we please? I just wrote a new blog on my Substack, which is taradublin.substack.com, about the dichotomy that we saw this weekend once again between the Democrats and the Republicans. First of all, what I didn't write about and what I'm holding on to this, maybe for a separate thing that I'll write about. But first of all, the hero's welcome for Trump on the Capitol.
Right.
Was that Thursday or Friday? I don't remember what days are anymore. But they gave him a hero's welcome to the place that he tried to set on fire.
Yeah.
And everyone was, and what was beautiful was later on that day in committee, a committee hearing, Eric Swalwell was like, anyone else hang out with a felon today?
Yeah.
You guys over there, why are you raising your hands, guys? Raise your hand. So the abnormalcy of that. That's how the weekend began.
Right.
It began with crazy on the Capitol. Then crazy went to Detroit while Joe Biden was raising money. How dare he?
Right.
Los Angeles with cool, famous people, and nothing triggers MAGA more.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing people that they used to like hanging out with Joe Biden. How do they reconcile seeing Jack Black in Stars and Stripes shortalls stumping for Joe?
Right. It was a panic attack.
D.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell me you don't love the D over there in MAGA world. You love Tenacious D. Everyone loves Tenacious D.
I agree. Yeah.
So what does the media do, though? What do we have? And you were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
About the manipulation of the videos. And I wrote about that as well, which is they show you this much instead of the bigger picture, which tells the full story. Why would they do that? Why would Kellyanne Conway go on Fox News and lie and say there were 8,000 people in that church? You can't put 8,000 people in a church.
Oh, well.
You can't put 8,000 people in a church. There weren't even full pews in that church.
Yeah.
And who were sitting in the pews? Not that many black people.
Yeah.
Not that many. You had Ben Carson at the front doing his little Trump dance, for sure. And there were a smattering of perhaps church attendees who go there on the regular. But we all know the rest were the paid bad actors. Oh, it's the Whitey McWhitersons of the Trump campaign were there.
This is the thing that stood out the most to me. That's Ben Carson talking to the 8,000 people that were in the church to see Trump.
Shut your entire mouth.
Look at them. Count them. Start counting right now. You can count them. There they are. Eight. I count. Let's see. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Seats in the front row.
Empty
People
pews.
Don't want to get that close to Trump's because he stinks.
Also, look at again, this is allegedly.
What are you talking about?
A black church. And by the way, look at the staff cameras, the campaign camera row back here. Like, he can't say, look at all the fake news and point at his own campaign camera people. But that's what this is. Like, they were just there to film this.
8,000?
Yeah.
8,000 Hatch Act, Kellyanne Conway, Ms. Alternative Facts. Please.
Look,
go back to your box of wine. Seriously, come on.
Yeah.
Do not tell us that we're not seeing and hearing what we're seeing and hearing. That's Russian propaganda 101, and we are far beyond.
Look at this area right here.
Come on.
People getting inside aisle seats. They're not even trying.
Dude, come on. If you told me that was Marjorie Taylor Greene's church, I would believe you.
Yeah. Yes.
Why?
Well, and yes.
Right?
Yeah. If you squint, it looks like a box of crayons that's only beige.
I mean, come on, you guys. And blacks for Trump is like vegans for steak. What?
Right.
What white nonsense is that about? I mean, somebody tweeted a picture of Marsha Blackburn and was like, blacks for Trump.
Right.
That's
yeah,
funny.
I think that was
That's
Filipowski.
funny,
Yeah.
Right? It's not Jack Black for Trump, I could tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
So, right? So they want you to believe what they want you to believe, but it's up to you about whether or not you want to believe it. And that's your choice,
yeah.
MAGA people in the chat. But again, the man is a convicted felon. You are weeks away from sentencing. Like, the abnormalcy is just so abnormal.
Right. Here's a close-up shot of the Blacks for Trump at the black church.
Wow. Wow. Look at all the raisins in the potato salad. Would you please? Come on now.
I mean, but at this point, what does this just say? That they just don't give a shit anymore? That they just know the lie will, that they get a bunt on every fucking lie. Right?
Come on. And it's really, this is why I'm really trying to get my hashtag louder than MAGA to trend, because we have to be.
We gotta be
louder,
yeah.
louder all day, every day till election day, because the truth matters now, literally more than ever. When we should be enjoying Hillary Clinton's nice, quiet second term right now.
Right.
So it's really, really super important to continue. It doesn't matter what the truth is. Just please tell it. Joe Biden was happily talking to everybody on the field at the D-Day landing thing. But you only wanted to show this much because it looked like he was wandering off like, Mama, where do we go? No, that's Trump. Did you see the picture of Trump and his bum chicken leg? And he's holding on to Junior's thumb while he's walking? Why don't you talk about that? Why does his leg look like that? What's going on?
All right, so there was this thing about his leg during 2020 as well, where they talk about how like he's got like that loose foot where he just kind of like it kind of flaps forward and he just kind of throws his foot and stands on it and then throws his foot. And when there's another shot of him, I want to say walking down a flight of stairs, and he's just like concentrating like crazy to get down the steps without his foot giving out on him.
The ramp where he held the guy's hand.
But this was just like day before yesterday, and he. Like as soon as he steps off of it, he kind of smiles because he's glad he made it, and then he goes back to kind of like wagging the leg again. It's nuts, and again, this is one of those things where there's a lot of reasons why something like that can happen to an older person, spine problems, all that kind of stuff. But it's also right up there with people who overdo stimulants that they burn out. They get what are effectively like. It's almost like the same symptoms as MS.
Yeah, right? And if you look, his legs don't align. Like they're not both.
Right.
One is really crooked, one is straight. That's why the big pant legs, because he can't let anybody see what his. It's probably like that last shriveled chicken drumstick that nobody wants at the buffet. You know, like it's all like really white and hairless and shriveled and gross. But there's weakness there. And you can just see it. It's pronounced. And he's holding on to Junior's thumb. Like he doesn't want to need to hold on to it. He doesn't want to touch his own child.
Or put rails on.
But he needs.
Yeah, on the side of the stage. Mm-hmm.
Well,
and they get longer. Like these walkways have gotten. These walkways have gotten longer. Especially when they're trying to show, when they have to like eliminate seats to make it look more full. So the area behind him, like in the Bronx, in the Bronx, H. Bryant says that wide right leg thing is brain damage. Dr. John Gartner and Dr. Harry Siegel, it's brain damage. And that, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but my question is the brain damage versus just age-related, necropathy or whatever is happening to him, right? Maybe it's just his bone spurs finally showing up. That's right, Sean. Mm-hmm.
Had an ischemic stroke at some point. That's
why the story about Ronnie Jackson. That's where the story about Ronnie Jackson.
Johnson.
Right. something about Ronnie Jackson's Johnson behind him
He's
when
the
he was.
one they call Dr. Feel Good.
Yeah.
He's the one that makes you feel all right. I can't. I always get the Dr. Feel Good earworm every time someone says Ronnie Jackson's name. But to point at him and be like, "Here's your wrong name" during a
Rat Tail Ronnie's a secondhand hood deals out in Hollywood. Right. Yeah. But you'll know that the apocryphal.
Come on.
The story changes details a lot. It's the same story told 9 different ways. But he always talks about how he wanted to take a cognitive test. Ronnie Jackson said, "You have to, if you want to, you can, but it's at Walter Reed, right?" And then and he goes he says I aced it, and he gave it to me. It's like that's not at all how it works. They didn't do it at Walter Reed. He could do it right there. The test that he gave him is like a 6-page run through. They could do it next door to the White. There's they have a medical facility at the White House. The fact that they sent him to Walter Reed for a cognitive test after that weird time when everybody was like, did he have a mini stroke while he was in the White House? Remember that? And he's like, no, he's doing part of his
COVID.
Yeah, well,
he got it when he had COVID.
Well, no, remember he was doing part of his fitness test early. He was splitting it up because of his busy schedule. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
That's when that was.
Yes,
and so what the story is, he got nervous, and they're like, you might have issues because he goes, can I take a test and see? Because he was scared shitless of it. His parents both had it. Both had, Alzheimer's, I believe, or at least suffered through dementia late in their life. And they, they made up this whole story about him splitting up his health tests at Walter Reed instead of doing it all in one fell swoop.
Which no one has ever done.
Nobody.
Don't leave in the middle of a medical exam. What could happen in the middle of a medical exam, unless there was some sort of, at that time, a national emergency that required his attention?
Which there was not. No.
There was not.
Except his presidency, which would qualify, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, every day that was a national emergency. And
right.
Again, the abnormality that was accepted, the way that he was normalized from the outset, that any story was supposed to be accepted, regardless of how ludicrous. And they just get more ludicrous. Like, I'm surprised they're not just lifting straight up James Bond plot themes now to make up shit. I mean, he already has Stephen Chung, who looks like Oddjob. He already has him walking around lying for him. I'm surprised Stephen Chung doesn't walk around with a hat killing people like this.
That's a lesson in why you don't want someone like Trump in office at all. If you can't manage between the people, your own operatives, and the people who are speaking on your behalf, many of whom are fighting to be your VP, if you can't manage a single verbal flub fix-it campaign in the 2 days following, like coordinate a message, just get on the phone and go, hey, he was saying this. Cool, bye. And everybody says the same, everybody's on board for the same story. Like, this is what we're going with. And if you can't do that, there's a bunch of reasons, but if you can't do that on a base level anyways, why would we trust you to be coordinated enough to run the greatest country in the world? Secondly, if you can't do, I don't even know, just like if he cares, or it could also be that he doesn't trust the people who are running to be his VP, for example. It's one of the problems he has with J.D. Vance. It's one of the problems he has with Byron Donalds. It's one of the problems he has with everybody except Tim Scott, is that he's afraid they all want his job. So that's automatically disqualifying. Right.
Duh. And by the way, all of them are problematic in their own ways. But first of all, he's not going to pick Tim Scott, and he's not going to pick Byron Donalds.
Nope.
Even though, and I think Byron Donalds needs to change the spelling of his last name so that there's just an apostrophe between the second D and the S, because Byron is Donald's. He has fully accepted that Donald is his owner, that he's denying, everything about him.
All in on Jan 6. Yeah, running interference.
Talking about how life was better under Jim Crow, even though his own family would be invalidated under Jim Crow because he's married to a white woman. Why doesn't anything make sense? It's also interesting that he's okay with Byron Donalds because his wife is white. Maybe he's okay with Tim Scott because his beardy girlfriend is white, as are her 3 kids. By the way, they announced that Tim Scott was going to become a father in August. He's becoming a stepfather because he's bearding Mindy legally. And then I guess he's bearding the entire family because she has 3 children who are going to be dragged out. So that would be the only thing that I would think maybe Tim Scott thinks he still has a chance because he's going forward with this sham wedding.
Yeah.
But then you have opportunistic fake mugget JD Vance, who I like to call hillbilly effigy,
Yeah.
because he lied in his own memoir, and then he'll do anything to get ahead. Because if you go back, his tweets.
But that's the scary thing about him. Yeah, that for
well,
Trump.
Right. It's his craven ambition, because if you go back to 2016, he was incredibly critical of Trump. He said all the right things. He said actual truthful things about Donald Trump. It's like for the first time in his life, J.D. Vance was actually saying truthful things. But as soon as he found out he couldn't win a Republican seat without MAGA, he became all in. So,
that has everything to do with why they show up at the, why he was allowed back on Capitol Hill, why they greeted him, because it has very little to do with him. It has everything to do with the fact that they need to court his voters. If they lose the MAGA vote, and if those people who, barely squeaked Trump over the line in a couple of states, if they start, pulling back because of everybody's a rhino, which is why Marco Rubio won't be the guy either. There's no situation where Marco Rubio is the VP, because the maggots will go, the deep states come after him. Like that.
That's two Florida men. You can't have them from the same
Well,
state,
even
right?
still, even on the measures, they don't care about that shit. They'll find some ridiculous way
Well,
about
they
it.
yell
Like
about
Trump
it
doesn't
as
actually,
Democrats, of
and Trump
course.
doesn't actually live there. He's registered to vote there, but he doesn't have a home. He lives in a rental property. He
That's where he's registered. So
But
that's
only
why
90
well, although they all do that though, because look at Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley doesn't live where he's registered.
Right.
And
Well,
a bunch of them do
Mike
that.
Pence was registered to vote in Indiana at the governor's mansion while he was VP. So, yeah.
All the rules that don't apply to them.
But tell me again how we
think-
need voter ID, and we need to make sure that people are voting in the right place, and there are 105% of people on the voting rolls. Right.
I'm going to end up going with that Doug Burgum guy, because he's like this milk with toast, unknown, boring, nothing with no personality, like Mike Pence. And there's no real threat to Trump because he's not going to steal any spotlight from him. No one really knows anything about him. He doesn't have a standalone personality that's outshining anybody. Mm-hmm. He's not a show pony. J.D. Vance is walking around with fucking eyeliner and makeup on like he's in an Adam and the Ants cover band.
Right.
And he's a showboater. And I don't think Trump fully trusts him, because if nothing else, Trump will remember what he used to say about him. And if Trump doesn't, we do. It's the same reason why he won't choose Kristi Noem, because we'll never not call her a puppy killer. And he knows that. Yeah. So what you need to do is pick somebody that you can't really pick on too much, because they don't have anything on their CV really. Like Doug Burgum is an unknown, even for being somebody who like is in charge of, of a whole state. Yeah. Like we don't know anything. I call him Burgermeister, by the way. That's a good nickname for him, Burgermeister. But I
Doug
think
Burgermeister?
That's Burgermeister Burger. Remember that from the Santa Claus is Coming to Town? It's the Burgermeister Burger. Anyway, it's just a German reference because they're all Nazis. It's fine. Yeah. So anyway, if you're choosing loyalty to Donald Trump over the United States of America, I would say that you maybe need to look at yourself and question that. But, I'm just saying that none of the people who are aggressively campaigning like that are going to get it. And Doug Burgum, who's like, I could do it. I could do it. Like, he's like, if there's, like everybody else wants peppermint and he's fine with wintergreen. Like he's, like nobody wants wintergreen, but he'll take it. Well, he's that guy. Doug Burgum will do he'll be okay. He'll be the wet sop that, whatever.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know that I don't know what group it gives him. Because, again, like Trump is the only reason Trump can do that and it works for him. And again, I believe he's been looking for his Dan Quayle and arguably picked Mike Pence and was okay with Mike Pence because, the boost with evangelical voters was necessary. That's what everybody around him was telling him. But I think that Pence has a Dan Quayle haircut, that he had this kind of plastic, Fisher Price man hairdo that allowed him to be this.
Didn't he say something about straight out of central casting?
Yeah, he always says that.
Right. And so that's what he's doing
and
again.
Central casting for a VP to him is not somebody who's smart, capable, and work, and is aware of issues.
If they had to.
No. And certainly not somebody who
They
gets...
don't have anybody.
Well, here's the other thing. Okay, so in a vice president, one of the stories they always say is, okay, we have maybe the candidate needs somebody to burnish him with certain voters. That was the Mike Pence idea. It brings in the evangelicals and have him do that. Okay.
Them now, so.
But and there's a weight, which is by bringing that person in to bring up these voters, do you lose any of your regular voters, the independents that are leaning your way or something like that in that process, right? Or your base. Will the base hate this person that you're bringing in who's a counterpoint to you because they're afraid, oh shit, they're going to take his job, and if he doesn't serve the rest of the time, this person's going to move in there. And again, on the Democratic side, it's, you know, with Obama, Biden, it was because Biden had been around for a long time, and Obama was new, and it was burnishing with the generic voter idea that you'll have somebody in the room who's been around government for a long time and can, you know, be that ballast. So it's not like a bunch of youngins running the place or something. That was
right. Plus,
important.
he had great relationships with people overseas, the Senate, because of his foreign policy.
Yep,
and that was key as well. And
that's right.
Democrats have a hugely deep bench. If for whatever reason Kamala Harris decided she did not want to run again,
well,
Joe Biden has his pick of Democrats who would be incredibly excellent at that job.
Patrick,
even though she's historic.
Here you go, Patrick,
and
in our chat room. We have some maggots in the chat room, and so one of them, he's saying,
Hi, guys.
Biden, hold on, Biden sold our oil to China. Okay, so just so you know, whenever we sell any oil on the, you know, from the strategic reserve or in any other way, it goes onto the open market, and anybody who wants to buy it buys it. We don't direct it to any particular country. Never happens, never has. And our oil companies are not nationalized. We're not Venezuela, so they sell to whoever the fuck they want to, just for the record. And oil output in the United States has never been higher than it has been under Joe Biden. You're welcome. I mean, as dumb talking points go, it's, you know, it's a good one to address.
I'm grateful that they found you, because you know so much that is truthful. And that's, again, what I was writing about.
It's nice. They can be here. They can't walk away, you know, dumber than they came here. That's almost impossible, even if on a trip to the grocery store for them. But it's important for them to know that detail. Now they can't unknow it. Now they can't pretend they don't know that oil output in the United States is the highest it's ever been. Like I said, oil output in the United States is the highest it's ever been. I don't know if they know that, but you know, if they're in the chat room, they now know that oil output in the United States is higher than it's ever been. Also, 9,000 unused leases.
With that information.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It's an open market. That's right.
Other MAGA people and tell them the truth that you just delivered. Are they going to share the truthful things that you say?
No,
with their
probably
fellow...
not. Probably not.
No.
But what it will do is put a hitch in their get along, because maybe they're, you know, I'll give people credit for being either dumb or suckers or stupid to some degree, but that. You know how they say, like, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth can put its shoes on? There's a little bit of that lie gets a little hitch in its get along if you're aware you're lying. And that's what happens with those folks. If they find this out, then they can't just hammer that talking point, because it isn't true, and they've been very publicly reminded that it isn't true. And that's why what we were talking about, us being louder, has value. Because they should know this. They should know this, and they should stop shitting on America. That's the other thing I hate about MAGA right now, is that they're shitting on America just to lower the bar. So they're like, we made America great again. Because why? You let things roll the way they were going under Obama, and then you would let them roll again like they are under Biden and take credit for it, which is exactly what Trump did. Well, yes, there you go.
It's so late to close
salty.
that barn door, because... Mm-hmm. So far gone now, and he's not doing anything to help himself. I mean, to say that Milwaukee is a terrible place is super easy for the Biden campaign to use that to their advantage. It's really easy.
Yes. The pushback that they keep doing.
Strategy is to use his own words against him.
Right. Well, that wasn't. I would agree.
Shit up.
Yes. So that like the suckers and losers comment was not on tape, for example. So they're allowed to kind of just like question that he said it, or he'll run interference. And he said, I think about this. He said about the suckers and losers thing. He said, why would I say that in front of military people? Okay, first of all, you fucking didn't. You said it in front of Kelly, who was your chief of staff at the time, who you've used as another body man, not based on his military career. He was in a suit. He wasn't in a military uniform at the time. And to Trump, everybody's the fucking help, because he lives in a fucking a apartment that looks like somebody absconded with furniture after the French Revolution and then painted it gold. So on top of that,
he's such a man of the people. He's not an elitist.
on top of that, his defense was, why would I say that in front of this? It was also his defense about Milwaukee. Why would I say that about a town where we're going to be there? Okay. I'll tell you why. Because he's the same motherfucker who attacked John McCain by saying, I like people who weren't captured. He's a hero because he was captured. I like my hero's not captured, whatever. The fact that he said that in public is why you can believe all the other shit that other people who have a better record of telling the truth have been honest about, right? And that the people who lie the most are trying to cover.
Of course.
For the record, he did say that now John McCain, because he was an officer, could have left. The Viet Cong were going to trade him. Would have let him. They keep the enlisted men and give him back because that's how they would negotiate sometimes. And he refused to leave. Wasn't that he was captured even that made him a hero, although he was fighting in an area where you could get shot out of the fucking sky and die in the crash, but if you managed to survive, and they fucking broke his arms, and he could never lift his arms above his shoulders after that.
Right.
So fuck you, Bone Spurs. But secondly,
exactly.
the biggest part is he could have gone home. And he wouldn't go without
his men.
He stayed with his men. That's what makes him a hero. And the fact that fucking Trump couldn't be bothered to know that or care about it should be disqualifying from maggots in general. If you really want to make America great again, it certainly was great when presidential candidates were willing to sacrifice their fucking life for their country, unlike this asshole whose father bought him 5 deferments and was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman for 2.5 decades. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Service. About selflessness. And that is why Donald Trump is not a public servant and Joe Biden is. Because regardless of whatever else has happened in his life, Joe Biden has always done the job of putting his country ahead of his own best interests, his personal advantages. He's not using his position to help his son in any way. He's not abusing the office like Donald Trump would. He shows it the respect and gives us the dignity on the world stage that we needed, especially at a time like this. And it's so hideous to me that he just shits all over the things that people are supposed to care about.
Right.
And I'm not being flip, and I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny to shit on our military. For whatever else, you want to justify all of his other bloviating, what he said about his own daughter, how he wants to bang her, all of the things. You want to go talk about personality issues and he's cognitively declined. He's a felon. You don't care that he's a fucking felon, adjudicated rapist, convicted felon, awaiting sentencing. He's still got 54 more felonies, and those felonies include crimes against the United States of America. So what I would love for everyone to remember is that this is not a political witch hunt. He is being punished for crimes he committed. No one made him do this. And the bottom line is, if you believe in this country, you either love Donald Trump or you love America. It can't be both.
Right.
Not when he literally shits all over our military. That is the lowest.
Figuratively. Although he shit himself in meetings. He
probably left
shit on the chairs in the Oval and in meetings. Yes.
Okay.
By the way,
so if he could fling his diaper all over the grave of a dead soldier, he probably would, because he's fucking jealous of anyone who can selflessly serve. So please, the MAGA people in the chat, vote how you want, say what you want, but you can't deny the truth of who he is, which is an adjudicated rapist, convicted felon who shits on our military. He got his dad to buy him 5 Vietnam deferments and lied about a boo-boo in his foot.
Right. And by the way, for the record, not as a conscientious objector, not somebody who was like, I'm not going to fight because this war is wrong. Because
he's a fucking coward.
He's notorious for having told his kids that if they join the military, he'll disown them. You know, now these assholes want to
any excuse to disown his kids, by the way.
Right.
So you can try all of the false equivalents, but it really, really, really doesn't work. And that's the other reason why we get all of this moving of the goalposts, where you say Donald Trump is a convicted felon awaiting sentencing on 34 felony convictions that was decided unanimously by a jury in the state where he committed those crimes. And they'll say, but Joe Biden sniffs a kid's head.
Right, because he because when he's taking pictures with kids, he'll go, "Don't be nervous, this is fun," and whatever, and you look great, and you did great, or whatever. He'll say that, and then as he leans over, they'll take a single shot, waiting, like if he blinks or he looks down or whatever, and they'll go, "He's sniffing the kid's head." Like, this is just gross. And by the way, there's a reason they do this, and it's to cover for all Trump showing up on the Lolita Express a minimum of 7 times, if not 10. And by the way,
John Jr. tweeted.
Never releasing his flight logs.
John Jr. tweeted that his father's name was not on the Epstein flight logs. Can you believe that he tweeted that? He said if my father's name was on those logs, he would have leaked it himself. Something like that. It was something like that. You can look it up. It's going around right now. It's from yesterday or the day before.
Really?
Yes.
I'll look it up in a this. I just want to show everybody this.
I'm blocked by Don Jr.
That's super weird. There's got to be a parody account. I'll check though. But this is, by the way, Morning Joe put together a montage of Trump wandering away from public events. This is where he's leaving. Where he forgot to sign the bill he was there to do, and they bring him, and he's like, "I'll sign it later," because he just doesn't want to He doesn't want to come back. There's him and Netanyahu. He starts walking away, and Netanyahu's like, "Where the fuck is he going?" There was another one.
Criminals.
Here's him walking on the tarmac towards nowhere, and everybody's like, "The car is over here," and he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he goes back to the beast, like there's 9 of them or some shit. And then he starts leaving. And this one, I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll sign the thing." And then and there he is walking away from the G20.
Extemporaneous.
There's a guy coming. Yeah.
Fine. You want to waste your time on this? Joe Biden once fell off a bike. Donald Trump can't walk down a thing. Donald Trump doesn't have a driver's license. This and that and the other thing. All of that doesn't matter. Joe Biden is the most successful president in 5 decades.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon.
Yeah.
Why this doesn't matter to more people is beyond me. Being a felon is not something to brag about. And again, MAGA kids in the chat, remove the name Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say someone you love dearly coming to your house for dinner. You're making a huge spread. Got little kids there. The whole family's there. Maybe it's an anniversary. It's a big celebration. Somebody you love brings a person in, an unknown, a dude. You don't know this guy. He walks in and she says, "Mom, Dad, this is my new boyfriend. He's an adjudicated rapist and a convicted felon. He's awaiting sentencing. And then later on this summer, he's got a few more trials. But at least he's not a Democrat and he's not old. Can he stay for dinner?"
Right.
What we're talking about. He's a convicted felon. I'm sorry you're disappointed. I get it. Disappointment's super hard to get over. So is embarrassment. But it's the truth. It is the truth. And he got a fair trial in the state where he committed the crimes. That's why he'll have to go to Georgia and have a trial there because he committed crimes there.
Right.
And he'll have to go to D.C. and Florida. So jurisdictions matter. And also the rulings of a jury matter. The judge didn't make them unanimously decide that.
Yeah,
he just has to decide what the sentencing is based on the jury's recommendations. These are the truths that you need to hear over and over again.
I think this is what
basic truth.
This is the bit I think you're talking about.
We're never going to surrender. It's not our style, man. We don't.
He actually tweeted it, though. There's like words in a tweet saying that he said that his father's name was not on the Epstein logs.
He says if you're in this room, you're probably on an FBI list, which is fucking ridiculous, paranoid jack shittery. And then he says, hold on, I'm on every list except the Epstein list. And he goes, we haven't heard anything about that one in a while. How is it that my father could be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles. And I think that's what everybody's pointing out, is that your dad is on Epstein's list. And by the way, I've covered this, and I don't know why it's not a bigger regular part of the news story. But again, there's this myth that Trump had this falling out with Jeffrey Epstein over a young
Right.
girl at Mar-a-Lago. That's all made up. It's bullshit. The reason they had a falling out was over the piece of property that Trump sold to that Russian dude for $90 million after buying it for 40. And the reason he had a falling out with Epstein was because Epstein was the other bidder in that and drove the cost of it up $10 million in that bidding, and Trump blamed him for costing him $10 million in that deal.
Is correct.
They never fucking talked again after that. It's to the
Trump is not a hero.
day. If you check, when Trump stopped talking to that motherfucker, it was right after that deal. So they made up this story about a member of of Mar-a-Lago that had a daughter who Epstein was skeeving on. Bullshit. And by the way, sorry, you only give a shit, even if you believe that bullshit story. You only care when it's a member of Mar-a-Lago, not when he and Ghislaine are fucking farming teenagers from the local high school.
They don't care when it's Ivanka.
Who gives a shit? Yeah, right. Who gives a shit, right, about those kids? They're not related to members of my fancy club. Get the fuck out of here. It's gross.
I mean, it's just another conspiracy pretzel to twist themselves into to avoid the truth. But they'll believe any lie about Joe Biden on his face without even looking into it. They'll believe a doctored video, and they'll post AI photos of Donald Trump surrounded by black people because they can't find a real one because one doesn't exist. Not one where he didn't pay people to be there. You know, Donald Trump's not going to stand around after an event chatting with people. And that's the other thing I wrote about today, and that people would be smart to remember, because people were also posting the video of the end of the event that they had the other night in LA, where you see Obama taking Biden's hand to leave the stage. They had been enjoying a very lengthy ovation at the end of the show. It was late. They needed to go. It was time. Joe Biden would have stayed. Would have hung out.
Yeah, like he did after the SOTU.
Every single person.
That was the thing after the SOTU. Right.
Exactly. He would have stood and shook everybody's hand and gotten personal with them. And here's the thing. I know this because I saw it happen in front of my face twice on both of the times that Joe Biden has been in Portland, where I was privileged to cover him when I was still being paid to write about politics. I watched him work the room after his appearance was over. I knew exactly what time he was supposed to leave because I'm on the White House press office email list. And there's a schedule that they send. Here's the president arrival, departure. He's here at this time. He is never on time. And the reason he is never on time is because he loves talking to the people.
That's right.
He loves them. He loves to talk to people. He loves to hear their stories. He doesn't want to interrupt them. He wants to hear about them. He doesn't even want to talk about himself. He takes their phones and takes selfies. He loves it. If he could have stayed last night and sung a duet with Jack Black sitting on the lip of the stage, he would have done it.
Right.
So when Obama takes him, he's like, Joe, we
got to go, man.
He want to go because he loves the people. So don't make it about.
The other thing, too, is they do, even after that, they're like, we got to do photos after this with the people, and like, the celeb folks are leaving. They're leaving. That's the other thing. Like, Clooney's going to leave. We got to go. Right. Yeah, exactly. And we got to, and we need to get those pictures done so we can all go home. Right. Totally. Right. And by the way, let's back to, making it personal again. I was reviled at certain points among certain members of the Queer as Folk cast, because when we did DVD signings, I would not leave until we got everybody. And the people that were on panel with me, when I would be, because they would shuffle the cast around, there'd be different folks with you each time, because we couldn't all be there at once. So we had several times but with me, I was, whoever I was with, there were a couple of cast members who were not fans of fans, per se, and they fucking hated it. After 3 times of us doing these signings, they stopped doing events with me because they knew I would stay there till we were done. And
your audience shows up for you, the people who put you where you are, the people who love you, and they want 12 seconds with you. And obviously you multiply that by a lot of people.
It's a lot.
And that takes but you wouldn't be there without them.
Right.
So
every one of them.
Showing gratitude is really super important. There are events where you can't do that. But when there are events where you can, why wouldn't you? Like, you know, and there are just people who don't take it for granted. Joe Biden doesn't take it for granted. Dave Grohl doesn't take it for granted. You don't take it for granted.
Right.
People who are good, Mark Hamill doesn't. Mark Hamill is single-handedly turning Twitter around, by the way, just simply by writing the word like under every tweet, because Elon made likes private because he's such a fucking piece of shit who won't let anybody enjoy anything. But that's a whole other thing.
No, it's let me tell you, there's a specific. It has nothing to do with his even personal feeling about it. The reason, and I want to be abundantly clear about this, the reason he took likes off was because buying likes and botting likes is now an industry on Twitter, and advertisers know it, and so they're not willing to pay for basically a horde of bots for an account's interaction or something. So to drive up interaction, they take the like button off and make you have to write something. So he's artificially inducing engagement amongst the real accounts there, and effectively making the bots likes that happen automatically readable by something he can sell to advertisers. But not.
Well, everyone is also saying that he made them private because he doesn't want everyone seeing how much anime porn he's watching.
Well,
he's liking all the anime porn because he loves. He retweets those anime memes so much, and it's just like, what? He's such a freak. Like, go buy Gab. Why didn't you just join up with Trump and make Truth Social into this? You could have actually made money. You could have had Truth Social for $1.25, and the two of you could have actually made real money.
At the time, I mean, basically, Elon Musk used the purchase of Twitter as a bridge point to infuse Saudi money into XAI and X.
I mean, and if he wants
Tesla.
to fuck with our elections, and probably once this election is over, he'll try to sell Twitter. Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban, I know you know famous people who are rich too, and you do good things with your monies. A conglomerate headed by Mark Cuban. That'd be nice.
They just,
I'll keep trying.
He just does it on the DL.
I'll keep trying to get Mark Cuban's attention.
Right.
But
again, for the record, in amongst this, for the record, Trump is all over the Epstein lists, all over he's in Epstein's black book, both of them, the one that's up for auction and the one that became evidence in the trial.
Teenage girls.
Yeah.
They shared.
Yeah.
They raped the same teenage girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's alleged. But yes, that's
fine. That's fine. Also, Matt Gaetz is still under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for sex trafficking and raping teenage girls too. Nice guys. Just great, these great, lovely people. There was a tweet last night, and this is a real tweet. The House GOP are trying to put forward some specific measures that are so fucking crazy that it sounds like we're making it up, but we're not. Right. They want the U.S. Treasury to introduce a $500 bill with Donald Trump's picture on it, like giving him his own monopoly money for real.
Right.
They want to name some coastal waters in the ocean after him, like a bunch of square miles of the ocean. They want to name after him, the man who's afraid of sharks with batteries on their backs or something in the ocean. They want to do that. They want to change. They want to rename Dulles Airport. I mean, you need to rename Dulles Airport, but not after him.
Right.
It's insanity. This is insanity. He's a convicted felon. Again, would you in 2012 have tolerated Mitt Romney as your candidate if he was an adjudicated rapist, convicted felon awaiting sentencing?
Here's
the reason why Donald Trump announced his campaign so early. He's not being tried in court during a campaign. He's running a campaign in the middle of being tried for his felonies. So that's why he announced it so early, because he thought maybe that'll keep him from having to be tried in court, because I'm a candidate. No. So again, swindling and he's like, that game of 3-card Monty never stops. It never stops. Where do you think the ball is now, friends?
This is a Don Jr. Tweet from 2022 even. There's something seriously broken in federal law enforcement if they're going after Michael and Dale, but not the people on Jeffrey Epstein's list. This is obviously before his dad was convicted, and also before his dad was found guilty of defaming E. Jean Carroll, his sexual assault victim. But this is another example of just like they hung for decades. And here's the other thing, like the idea, Dershowitz floats this all the time, that had I known that this guy did this kind of shit, I never would have hung out with him. Well, first of all,
bullshit. Captain Underpants.
You did know. Of course you did know.
You
but
did
on top
too.
of that, how could you not know? You know what I mean? Like, it was beyond a whisper
Self-said
campaign.
so.
Right. For
Like
decades.
We're
Right.
good friends because he likes the ladies and
He likes them kind of
young.
young. Right.
And remember also when Ghislaine Maxwell was finally imprisoned and they asked Trump what he thought, and he said, "I wish her well."
Yeah.
He didn't say anything bad
Because of what
he
happened
knows
to
she's
her
got the goods on
boyfriend.
him.
Like he said, the guy's, he referenced Epstein without even saying his fucking name. He even said recently, and again, that was the part that Fox and Friends cut out of their interview with him, the part where he would not release the Epstein files because there's a lot of fake stuff in there and you don't want it to hurt people who are accidentally, innocently in the Epstein files. Trump said
like
that.
Prince Andrew.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But Trump himself and Trump's friends specifically. Now, I have no doubt that Epstein cozied up to rich and powerful people who weren't involved in his shit to try and burnish himself as being a power player at certain points. But those are the people who that you get 2 flights there and back. He flew you someplace and you flew back. The second flight you're on with this motherfucker, and I don't care if it's somebody I liked at some previous time. You're on the list. You're now officially
Right, it's the fool me once.
Yeah.
Right?
He
but
could
really, shame on you.
Right, and there were times when his plane flew and he wasn't on it. Like he loaned his plane out to people to use whatever, or there's people on the list of that, because I looked at the entire list of people. There's people like where they're doing check rides because the FAA makes you do it. So there's 2 crew members on there, whatever. Obviously, they're not criminal in this regard. The pilot that worked for him regularly, I don't know why you don't quit. Honestly, unless there's perks. That would be my concern.
He was blowjobs in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Probably, and money.
Yeah,
you know, we
I
have
wouldn't
seen
rule it
that
out.
money can do a lot of damage to people. It can fully compromise an entire political party.
By the way,
a little blackmail.
By the way,
sprinkle a little blackmail in with the money.
We have a maggot in the chat who is actually defending Epstein. That apparently thinks we're defaming Epstein. Which is, again, that's
defame somebody who was jailed for his pedophilia.
Yeah, convicted
and all
pedophile.
Of his other crimes.
Who by the way,
convicted pedophile.
By the
You're
prosecutor.
defending
By the prosecutor gave him the deal that gave him a key to the jail so he could let himself out. He only had to go serve on weekends. And Trump gave that guy a job in the White House.
How do you defend a pedophile?
I don't know. You can argue
justification.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm open because the GOP is also pro-child marriage. They're pro-forcing,
especially, I guess, if you have
young incest,
in your
rape victims to birth their babies. They're very into controlling women.
Yeah.
So I guess I shouldn't be shocked that you're defending a pedophile. I guess it's just what words do you use to defend a pedophile that someone go, oh, okay, well, that's a take I haven't considered. I mean, seriously, he's a fucking pedophile.
Yeah,
right.
and
prison, so he wouldn't have to go to trial. And he knew that if he named names, somebody was going to kill him. So that's why he took himself out.
Yeah,
that's my take. He took the coward's way out instead of saying that person, because that person will probably kill me. So it's how they do in Trump world. They get rid of someone who's going to make you look bad.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, if you're defending a pedophile, get the fuck out. Like, you do not belong in polite society in any way, shape, or form if you're trying to justify pedophilia.
Especially if you have dad in your fake online persona. I gotta say,
dad.
One of the things, there's
your daughter, dad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'd like to say that. Say what you will about Tara and I, but both of us use our actual faces and our actual names in all of our online endeavors. Every single time, all the time. Yeah.
I also don't lie, and I also will say, is this a thing I don't like? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. I can admit when people
Yeah.
I love do things I don't like.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me love them any less. It doesn't, I mean, it would depend on
But
the person.
MAGAs can't because it's a thread. If you pull the thread, the whole sweater will unravel.
Cult, and it's all based on the false bill of goods they were originally sold,
Right.
but was never delivered on. And you think that all of the things that you enjoy in life are because of Trump, but they're actually because of Democrats. So I would, again, take a good hard look at the reality. What do Republicans vote against?
I mean,
What
Trump
was the last
bragged-
thing that they just
Trump-
voted against?
Yeah. Women's rights on all fronts.
Ignore
Specifically
what they
IVF.
say, watch what they do. It's
Right.
the same thing over and over again. You really think that Donald Trump cares about you as an individual? I have a Bible to sell you with his autograph on it. It's
Right.
like,
That according to a guy who reviews Bibles is a cheap piece of shit. It's not. It says it's leather. It's
there are people
not.
who review Bibles. What if
Yeah.
the story changed? So,
No, for real.
hey,
There's a
speaking
guy.
of book reviews,
Yeah. Hey.
hey, 5 stars all across the board, and I'm almost at 700 copies sold. Seriously, we are 13 away from
Do
selling
it.
700. Which
There-
people
the
will
link
make
is right
fun of me.
there.
I've had MAGAs.
Sure.
MAGAs make this. It is MAGAs making fun of me. Oh, 700, like that's it's a big deal to me. If I put 700 books in front of you, you'd be terrified because you've never read one. So 700 books is a lot of books.
In
I
all
would
fairness,
say.
if anybody who's watched Mark Levin in the last 3 years has seen 700 books and what they look like because they're on the shelves behind him because
behind him,
they're
right?
props and he
'Cause he
can't
bought
move
them
them.
all.
Yeah. I mean,
By
granted,
the way,
there may
this
be
is an
more because he
author
might be sitting
copy.
on a pile of them as well. I don't know that that's
This
an
is an
actual
author
chair.
copy that does not go towards my total. This does
Right.
not contribute towards my royalties.
Sure.
This does not go towards the 13. By the way, there are 13 left. And also,
Right.
this is not as a troll that I dispatched earlier today. This
Sure.
has nothing to do with fascism, Marxism,
Yeah.
any isms except rock and roll ism and love ism. If you love and sex, you like sex. There's sex in it. There's rock and roll. There's Foo Fighters Easter eggs in there. It's awesome. People
Yeah.
love it. There's a great Cameron Crowe blurb on the back. It's all good. It's just love. It's a rock and roll love story. And maybe that's why you're hating on it because
Yeah.
there's not enough love in your life. So read about that and get some love in your life. Donald Trump doesn't love you. He loves your grifted money. He'll take that from you willingly, but what will he give you in return? Focus. He will give you nothing. He's a
Yeah.
adjudicated rapist, convicted felon, and there's more felonies ahead. There's more
Oh, yeah.
trials ahead, and nothing you tweet and nothing you troll makes
You know,
Donald Trump any less of a convicted
One of the
felon.
things about the like it was a rigged trial thing about how Trump can't get a fair trial in New York because they vote red. Well, first of all, Trump didn't vote red for a long time. That's a lot of
mean blue.
Republicans. Yeah, he didn't vote red for a long time. He voted blue. He was like
Red, he didn't
if
vote,
he didn't vote at
probably.
all.
Now
right?
he can't.
But he sucked up to Democratic politicians largely in the 80s and the like. And that's why he was kind of, trying to be friendly with Oprah and all that kind of shit. That's what he did to do it. But the fact is
Rejected
that
and
in his
got
hometown, the reason he can't get a vote there is not because Republicans can't get a fair trial there, because they do all the time. People who are obvious Republicans or people who have been elected to public office in New York City who are Republicans have been on trial in the past. And they literally were found either, nobody's found innocent, but they found not guilty, or were lesser charges, or a minister,
That's where the
right.
crimes were committed.
That's right. Meanwhile,
Committed in New Hampshire. The trial would have been in New Hampshire. Do you
Right.
understand what a jurisdiction is?
and that applies specifically, that applies to Delaware as well. There's this idea that Delaware is this protected envelope where the Bidens are royalty there, and that
No.
if the same thing applied, there should be no way that you could find a jury that would not, that would convict Hunter Biden under any circumstance because the Biden family is so connected and whatever. And it
And
didn't
it's such
work
a
out that way.
bullshit charge,
Right.
too,
Yeah.
by the way. And
Yeah.
by the way, if his name was Hunter Smith, all of you maggots crying
They'd be
about
against it.
all of it,
Right.
you would be so mad if he was not Hunter Biden. If he
Yeah.
was Hunter Smith and he got popped for these bullshit charges, you would be
Yes.
screaming. You would be screaming about it, just like you're celebrating the bump stop ruling. You would be screaming,
Of course,
about how it's not fair
That's
to
why
him.
Matt
and it's
Gates
a
said that.
witch hunt.
Yeah, that's why Matt Gates even tweeted out like this is the lesser charge, or this is not the, this is very low in my opinion, or whatever, which is his little thing. The reason
what your rapey opinion is.
Right.
And
But
the bottom line is that if you accept the Hunter Biden verdict, you also have to accept the Donald Trump verdict. It's the same judicial system that they were both convicted under. Separate states, same system. And the system is he was given a fair trial, and there was a jury that was selected and approved by both the defense and the prosecution.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you have to accept their ruling. It is true of the Hunter Biden case. It is true of the Donald Trump case. You do not see Democrats going out there crying and calling the Hunter Biden case a sham or rigged or begging. And even the president said he would not give his son a pardon.
Yeah.
So
he even went so far as saying he wouldn't commute. He would not commute his sentence. He would honor it.
So you cannot say that there are two systems of justice for Democrats and Republicans. It's not true.
Okay,
the same justice system holds them all accountable.
I can't believe it, but this is actually real. I just found it took me a minute, but found the tweet.
I told you.
Like, this is fucking mind-boggling.
Like, how much cocaine did you do before you fucking tweeted that?
Actually tweeted, and I'll read it for everybody because the text is kind of small on the screen. You know who's not on the Epstein list? My father. Because if he was, it would have been leaked in about half a second. Bunch of exclamation points. That's a fact. Okay, the fact is, his father
Junior.
is on the Epstein list multiple times.
Somebody needs to Photoshop a picture of Junior as an ostrich with his head in a pile of cocaine.
What the fuck?
What the fuck, right?
It's not even close. Like, it's been out. That list has been available for years now.
Like Laura Trump saying, if you commit a crime, we're going to hunt you down and hold you responsible.
Cool.
Because this is the United States. That's great, Florence Foster Jerkins. Start with your father-in-law. Jesus fucking Christ.
We'll even go to the
what
village.
They're talking about is what's going to happen to them. Every accusation is a confession. They're they're priming themselves. Because here's the other thing that they know about Donald Trump is that he's going to take them all down with him. They're all going. Look at Rudy Giuliani. He's not getting away with fucking shit. And so eventually they're all going to go to prison, and he's not going to help any of them. Enjoy watching that happen. And then what will you say?
Let's see if I can find this fairly quickly, but House on
How do you have MAGA people in the chat? There's Junior denying that his father is on the Epstein logs when you know he is.
Yeah.
So what do you say? Seriously, what's the response? Is it to ignore it and move the goalposts and say, oh, well, Hunter Biden?
Yeah.
The answer is, what is your answer to this? You were caught in a lie. There's a lie. Junior is lying.
Well, I mean, there's
all the evidence.
And there's no two ways about it. Like, let me
spin it. It's truth.
Yeah. I got to find the, let's see. I'm going to find the link for Giuliani's house was just, I mean, people are always complaining about how he, I guess like there's not enough housing available in New York and other kinds of. Well, apparently the price can go down. That means I guess there are a lot available because Giuliani's house just went down $800,000 because it's not moving.
Well, no one wants to buy it because it's Giuliani's house.
And
imagine how much you would have to have that fumigated.
You'd have to, obviously, but believe me, people buy murder homes. You could figure out a way to clean it. There it is.
He's been trying to dump that property for a while, and he keeps reducing the price because no one wants to buy the tainted Giuliani property. You know, it'll be different when they finally seize Trump Tower. They could turn that into housing for the homeless.
This is Giuliani's house at 45 East 66th Street, 10 West.
That's a nice neighborhood. I would like that house.
Yeah, it's very
Look at that. I'd buy that.
Yeah.
When I get my Dave Grohl money, I'll buy that house.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you'd want a hazmat team to come in there and
sure, but that neighborhood is choice. I would love to live there.
Yeah, that has experience with tertiary syphilis and its clinginess to old oak. But this is so fucking New York. Like, if anything,
beautiful.
what they would call a corner feature. There is no way anyone sits at that. That is a nook that somebody is desperately trying to turn into a sitting area. Look at where those chairs are up against.
It's very, very
hilarious.
real estate porn. It's
it's
very
totally
typical for to make all of usable
Yes.
space. Here's where Rudy Giuliani pulled down his pants.
This
Here's
is
where
his-
he,
this is
here's where he dyes his
and
hair.
it's this big fancy place with its IKEA kitchen. Like all this old oak that was in the original part, and they redid. You could tell they like remodeled, and this is all just like nouveau riche, like half-assed stuff. Look at this shit compared to the other woodwork. Like that's just lame. But anyways,
that's what happens when you don't pay your contractor.
Right. And so these are the rooms. He's got one of those watcher bathe, shower combo things.
So what's the value on the property now? Is it the whole? Does he have the whole townhouse, or is it an apartment in a building?
It's 10 West. It's this whole corner. It's a corner space.
Okay.
It's a library, a living room. It's a big fucking house.
And so what
something
does he have
you'd
the
get
price
on
at now?
It's the kind of thing you'd get on a former mayor's salary with no hinky connections to any shitty oligarchs.
What
in
does
the
he
world.
have it priced at now? Like 5.2 million or something like that?
5.7.
Hey, check me. I should go work for New York real estate.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
He's not going to get that, though.
Nope. And they'll finance 50% of it.
Shit, seriously?
Yeah. You can get 50% financing on it.
Oh, man. This is when I got to get in touch with Dave Grohl because, I saved the man when I gave him the idea to write times like these. So, in between getting this book sold to Hollywood, getting back in touch with Grohl,
that'd be it.
I might have to invest in some real estate.
I would say
we are manifesting all of the greatness. Please buy
totally
my book,
are.
The Sound of Settling.
Yes.
Share it with all your friends at TaraDublinRocks.com. It's a rock and roll love story with sexy sex in it. And guess what? Spoiler alert, the puppy in the book lives.
Yeah. There's no weird gnome character that shoots dogs for no reason. But thank you so much, Tara Dublin. Tara Dublin rocks. That will take you a direct link to purchase the book.
My friends, try not to troll anybody. All right. I love you.
Thank you. Bye. There she goes, ladies and gentlemen. And hit that like. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you would. There's the Venmo there if you want to buy me a cup of coffee. And it's nice to have a celebrate Maggot Trolls Day on the show. It's been a while. And apparently a bunch of them have not gotten the memo that their traffic here helps us, especially when they write more than twice. That seems to be the rule in the YouTube algorithm. And by the way, I think the rest of you find it adorable as well as I do that they think trolling works these days. Isn't it fun? Like you read what they write. They actually think it works. And maybe you know what it does if they do it over in in one of the circle jerk cul-de-sac websites like the Daily Wire or RSBN or RAD. If you write in those chat rooms, everybody's like, yeah, yes, queen, to everything you say. But when they come over to a place where people actually know what they're talking about, it's got to be like depressing, I mean, as much as someone who worships Jeffrey Epstein's running mate could get depressed, I suppose. And yes, I look forward to, according to them, I guess Don Jr. suing me for accusing his father of flying with Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, I will. I'll go lawyer shopping as soon as I get off the air. I'm quaking in my boots. Anyways, we'll have a great afternoon show. Join us at House Park's MegaWorldwide this afternoon. And thank you for tuning in for the morning show where we get to, talk a little longer about these particular story points and ideas and trends and the like. So I appreciate it. And anytime now. And I will see you guys this afternoon. Hit that like. Oh, and if you don't like the show and you're maggot trolling, hit the dislike because the algorithm doesn't care. It just likes interaction. Everything you write whether you're for what I say or against what I say, helps me. So thank you. As Joe Biden would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks, Brian, for the cup of coffee. Lovely people being members and super chatting and supporting the show. It's mostly memberships, and thanks to the Facebook folks for throwing a like my way. It really does help.
In magnified portion. Free health care for illegal.
I had a beat off.
The best words. An anomalous, really an anomalous. Criminal. Look, wait. Obama. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges. I know words. I have the best words. God bless the United States. Yesterday, though, I worked made a pivotal, really. Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia